So I've got a new watch to add to the collection. It's this beautiful 1960s yellow gold dress watch by Omega. Today I'm going to be doing a short and sweet review of this watch, talking about some of the pros and some of the downsides to owning a vintage watch. Stay right till the end, let's get into it. So starting off with the specifications, the case diameter is a minuscule 30mm, which by modern standards is a lady's watch, not a men's watch. However, back in the 1960s, that was quite average for most men to wear. Nowadays, this is more average, around 38mm or 40mm, somewhere around there. So, I mean, these two watches, the size of them is just laughable. The difference between them is just insane. Something else about this watch, it means it has quite small lug width, so 15mm lug width, which is quite inconvenient to find straps. Not impossible, but less common than 20mm. It also has a manual wind movement, so it's going to last about 30 hours before you need to wind it again. I haven't really timed it, that's just a rough estimate. And it's a yellow gold case, and it has yellow gold hour markers, indices and hands to match it. Now I want to go over some of the downsides to owning a watch like this, a vintage piece. First off, this is not sapphire crystal, this is an acrylic crystal, so it will scratch very easily. Basically a fingernail would scratch this. It's not anti-magnetic at all, so don't put this anywhere near a microwave, or for whatever reason don't put it in a CAT scan. The other thing is it's not water resistant at all, and no watch around this period will be, even if it was once a dive watch. They just won't hold water out. If you get water on this, expect to have permanent lasting damage. So the other thing is that it's not shock resistant. I mean, most watches aren't, but especially not in this sort of generation. You just keep to your G-shocks if you're going to go rock climbing or something like that. Don't take this watch on the wall. Right, I think that covers some of the downsides of this watch. Let's talk about why you would choose this watch on my wrist compared to a cheap watch like this, £130. And it has far better specifications, such as a modern movement, sapphire crystal, luminescent hands, a rotating bezel, a more convenient case diameter of 38mm, which is going to wear a lot better on most men's wrist, a more convenient lug width of 20mm, which is just a lot more common. So why would you choose anything else other than this? Well, to be honest, both watches have a role to play in this world. It's not just like this is the be all and end all, or this is the be all and end all. It depends on where you are on your collecting journey. If you want to try and get a taste for the nostalgic vintage style watch, then this is definitely a good option, because you can get that for a fraction of the cost, and you don't have to worry about the vintage problems that I mentioned earlier. However, if you're a more experienced collector and you want to enjoy the history of a brand, or want to get a reputable brand on your wrist for a fraction of the cost of the modern watches they offer, then a vintage watch makes a lot of sense. And to be honest, this is an impersonation. It's not a real vintage watch. It has a fake patina. It has, you know, just gimmicky looks to it. This is real. The patina on this is real. I actually specifically mentioned when I got this watch serviced, I didn't want the hands or the dial replacing because I wanted to have that original patina. I want this watch to look like it's from the 1960s, because it is. So it's actually quite odd, because I prefer wearing this vintage style watch most of the time to my actual vintage watch because of just how fragile the vintage watches are. However, there's times where this vintage watch really does come into its own. Beautiful Sunday afternoons like this, it just absolutely thrives. Weddings and any black tie event, it will just do really well. Don't take this out and beat it up. It's a watch that if you treat it well, it will treat you well, and you'll be able to pass it down to the next generation. This sort of watch, you could definitely pass it down to the next generation, but to be honest, servicing this watch, it's not really worth it. It's better off just buying another one, because these watches are just so cheap. But if you can afford it, have both. Why not? I mean, this watch is only £130 at the end of the day. If you want to see my review of this Saint Martin vintage style watch, I'll leave a link in the description down below. So my closing thoughts on this watch, well, I absolutely love it. There's no doubt about that. I love having three completely different Omegas in the collection, and I really do appreciate just how slim this watch is compared to all my other watches. It really does just slip under the cuff. I love it. Now, this watch is definitely not going to be for everyone, and I definitely won't be using it as much as many other watches. But the times I do take it out and I see that beautiful golden glow on my wrist, it really does just make me feel amazing. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this short and sweet review. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, please leave a like and a comment saying so. But until this video, goodbye.